Sometimes we are made to take a fall, scanning the horizon. Although it's dark, life was good, now you've fallen apart. Pass us by, happy to collect, body damaged, mind a wreck. Surrounded by sirens all around, racing through that cold war town, dodging the red stop signs, views of only old telegraph lines. Days that you shine and days you hide the pain, whilst looking down on your sealed fate. You know sometimes it's just too late. Sometimes we are made to take a fall.
I can give a special introduction here. I've just decided I've allowed myself to give a special introduction. Hello, John. How are you?
I'm good, yeah. You, Red?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Thank you very much. So I've decided, and the special announcement is, this will be streamed as part of the Spotify audio podcast, the Creative Shake-Up. So it's going to be part of that.
Right.
But of course, we've got our own YouTube channel.
Yes.
For the Fall Guy Film Project. So the entire video of this will be streamed on that channel. And I'll share links to that so people can subscribe to that channel. So that's something I've just decided just now. There we are. Executive decision. So we've known each other a while now, John, and we've spent time talking about things. You've shared interviews before with myself. I think more people are beginning to know some of what happened that's contained in the book Fall Guy. Some of what happened that's contained in the 2 released songs so far.
Yeah.
Which is Fall Guy and Cry.
Yes.
And other general conversations and things that are going on that are being shared as well. But for those that don't, and to separate also from 2 other Fall Guys who I think are secondary in the level of the Fall Guy that we're talking about.
Yeah, they're trying to build themselves up to get behind me on the red carpet, aren't they?
And do you know what?
It'll take them a bit of time, but hey, you know.
So 2 wannabes, if you like. Acting names Lee Major and Ryan Gosling, just to spell it out even more. And now we have the original Fall Guy, certainly in terms of life experience, which is yourself. For those that don't know, and to kind of cut through that confusion, even though I'm sure there won't be, tell us a little bit about, as brief a journey as you can, of your experience that's contained in Fall Guy, the book, particularly at the moment.
Okay, so I worked for a estate agent on the Fylde coast. I worked for them for a long time. I was asked to help an American client to buy an old racetrack in Bulgaria before Bulgaria joined the EU. I did all my homework, or I thought I'd done my homework, and I went out to inspect firstly. Secondly, I went back with the proof that the American guy had the money to buy it, which the Bulgarians needed before it go to contract. Went back with the proof, got shot by the Bulgarian Mafia and disposed of over a bridge. Fell 30 foot plus onto tarmac.
Wow. And then what happened from then? Because that's that's enough within itself, obviously. It's going to sound a really, really obvious thing to say. You're still here now. Thank goodness for that, because it's almost that it shouldn't have been that case in a way. Certainly what you've just told us. But what were some of the events that happened after that? So you were in Bulgaria, out of the country. Tell us a little bit about what happened next.
That was the level ground. It went worse from there.
Right.
But I got spotted by a passing cab driver who threw me in the back of the cab. Sped off to the hotel I was staying at, abandoned me at the hotel and sped off. He was obviously panicking that something might happen to him, so left me in bits outside the hotel. The hotel called an ambulance, 1950s ambulance, told me, the old milk floats, ice cream things. Mm-hmm. They came for me, took me to the hospital, just stitched me up, didn't fix any of the protruding bones or anything, stitched me up, put me in the hospital, and I came around the next morning with 7 police officers there and a lady interpreter. The police officers then beat me up and then padlocked me to the bed and made me sign some paperwork to say, you don't even know where you are, nothing's happened, you don't know who we are, and you're just going to go home and forget about this.
Now, a lot of this I know, but the detail you're sharing today is more. When you got back to the UK, how much of what you've just shared did you share with the UK, whoever the people were that you had contact with when you got back?
I shared it with everybody, and major news companies actually interviewed me and said it's going on TV, blah, blah, blah. So there was in England a certain time in the evening when the news came on, and those people interviewed me. Major newspapers came to see me. Radio stations rang me. I did all the interviews, and then it was pulled.
And where was Bulgaria in regard to the timing of entering the EU?
They were very close to it. They weren't quite there, but they were very, very close.
Yeah.
So there's not a coincidence there.
No. That's just, do you know what? I've spoken to you about this before. I've read the book. We've written songs. And as we're talking now, there's an ambulance just going by outside.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't know how to put it to you really, but it continues to be staggering. There's a new word. I often use the word astonishing, but staggering kind of works as well. And it makes sense, it makes sense just being a bystander, if you like, an observer. It makes sense what you're sharing, but of course, again, the thing that strikes me is you live this. I decided for our interview today that, and future tense, I am at times going to use the expression life story. You know how I feel about that, because I kind of don't particularly like using the term story, because it's not a story, it's life. But life story is something that people know. people will understand that phrase. So life story.
Yeah.
But again, I want to emphasise, and no disrespect, by the way, I used to watch Fall Guy back in 70s or 80s or whenever it was on.
Yeah.
Lee Majors, the $6 Million Man, and I used to enjoy that. I'm sure the latest Fall Guy film with Ryan Gosling, I'm sure it's really good, and I'm sure it is going to be good. But we are talking about real life. This is what you experienced. So there's some kind of fresh perspective things that have come out, stuff I knew, but just the way you've shared what you've just shared. So I'm so pleased I asked you that question, because it could be easy to assume, well, of course we've talked about that, but not everybody's heard it, even though now even more people are hearing what happened. And this changed your life.
Yeah.
This affected your ability to walk, your ability to talk, your ability to earn money. And of course, that led on to certain things which are contained in particularly Cry, the song.
Yes.
So I now want to move on to that. Which is, we don't need to share how we met. We've shared that before. There are previous interviews people can listen to. But I want you to share so far the journey of what's happened musically with regard to Fall Guy, the song, and Cry. So you can talk a little bit about how they came about and any detail of the songs that you want to share, please.
Okay, so Fall Guy is the story of what happened. So it's a haunting melody. It kind of bites at you. It gives you that total impression of what happened. It's atmospheric, certainly haunting, and gives you a clear picture of me being out on a bridge in Varna, being shot and being thrown over a bridge, and then beaten up by the police and the ambulances and blah, blah. The whole atmosphere of that surrounding in pre-EU Bulgaria is in that song. So the concrete buildings, the Cold War, it's kind of that. They had a grey colour to the buildings that was kind of, it looked like the buildings were ill.
Just pause there for a minute. It looked like the buildings were ill. Brilliant. And actually, the cover of the book and the cover of the artwork for the single are the same.
Yes.
So, of course, the name's different because the performer of the song is me. That's the only reason.
Yeah.
That's the only reason. Yeah. But your lyrics, your life, and I think, like you said, a vocal impression, a vocal representation of what happened. Yeah, so that's brilliantly summed up. And when people look at the lyrics, and I think I'll share them more as well. I don't deliberately keep them quiet, but I think when I'm sharing this, I'll also share, all of the lyrics in the description so people can read the words, which are, of course, your life lived lyrics. So move on now to Cry. Tell us a little bit. So that's the second single from what still is a planned soundtrack album. Still is, and we'll come back to that in a moment. But talk a little bit about Cry, the song, and that's interesting you said about...
So I got back to the UK and I was ill. I was ill. How ill I was not apparent for another 9 months. Well, that's a further story. The person I worked for, the estate agent I worked for, kind of washed his hands of the whole situation, and the American that I was acting for never contacted me again, other than sent me a bowl of fruit in the post. That was the end of that, and they've been friends. I've been to their house many times, you know, all kinds of situations with them, been out to dinner with them many times, been out with my girlfriend with them as like couples. And immediately I got back, never heard a thing again, other than I got a strange photo of a horse and I got a bowl of fruit in the post.
I think we'll save the horse for another day.
Yeah.
Possibly, because without you sharing the thoughts, do you have thoughts on the significance of the photo of the horse?
The horse has very big significance.
And
we can't say more than that at the minute, but certainly now I've had chance to write the book, and it's perhaps going further than the book, which we know it may happen.
Yeah.
It's got big significance, that photo, and I still have that photo here.
Cool. That's fantastic. Yeah, brilliant. And we will. We know this is becoming a series. It is a series.
Yes.
It is a series because, of course, the release of the songs as well. So Cry is emotionally very, very significant. Significant to what you shared a moment ago when you said in Bulgaria about the buildings being ill. The opening line of Cry is, I thought I heard the buildings cry. And that was where you were living at the time in Winkley Square. And we're now going to jump forwards a little bit because, again, it's good to not share too much. It's good to let people come into the songs and into the book and discover for themselves the astounding life and the fact that you are still alive is just even more than what we're sharing here. The book is just, once you pick it up, you can't put it down. And the songs, the emotional connection that we've both experienced in how people have fed back on those songs is immense. Yeah. So that leads us to, and I am going to share this specifically, and I know you'll stop me if you choose to. Good. It would have been, and I can remember the date because it was the day after Valentine's Day, 2024, because Waterloo FY4 in Blackpool. The Waterloo normally have an open mic on a Wednesday.
Yes.
But they didn't have it on a Wednesday because it was Valentine's Day. So they had it on a Thursday. And I decided I was going to perform a solo performance. I was going to do one song created on the spot with Imogen Evans. Her playing guitar, me writing some lyrics, and on the spot writing the song. And Cry.
Yes.
And this was part of what we had decided, you and I, that promote the book to film project, the music would enable us to do that. Now, without going into detail, because of course you can't at the moment, share just a little bit of slight snippets of what happened that evening.
So
and after.
you talked about Cry before you performed it, and it was that few minutes of chat before you performed Cry that got somebody's attention in the audience. So you then performed Cry, which was amazing.
Oh,
Everybody kind of loved that song because it reaches everybody
yeah.
worldwide. Has got emotion in themselves that are in that song. We all feel what the words are
Absolutely.
at some point in our lives. You finish the song, and then you were initially approached by a chap who has got an idea about turning the book and the music into a film. And it's already something that me and you discussed, but he took it a step further on that evening, and you gave him a copy of the book, and he ran home and read the book. It was kind of midnight. He was reading the book. He commented that he couldn't put the book down. He's so excited by the book. And he asked if he could write a screenplay for the book. And we've given him permission to do that. And he's underway with that as we speak. He's talked about various scenarios that may or may not happen. Looks like they will happen, but we can't say any more until I's have been dotted, etc. He's underway with his screenplay. So when we get the screenplay back, we'll know more of what the next stage is.
Yeah. Which, in the experience of life, you prepare for things to happen. Both you and I, we don't think small. We don't think small. I think we're expansive thinkers, and part of that is because of where we've come from, in terms of experience. But even with that, I remember the evening, and I remember both of us thinking, "Wow!" And then subsequent meeting, which the way I describe it is, it's now become definitely 100% tangible, concrete. In the next step of the process.
Yes.
Because as you already mentioned, without mentioning names and or where this could end up, a screenplay is the next step. And you and I had talked about that. And lo and behold, by chance, this happened, and it's absolutely incredible. So that's the position you're now in. The songs are still being worked on, several of them.
Yes.
2 released. At time of recording and airing of this podcast, it will coincide with the 3rd release. Then there will be a 4th release, which will be 3rd of May. But the 3rd release will be the 30th of March. So that's where we are now. So let's talk a little bit about Folklore and Tales, because that's the next single to be released. So tell us a little bit about the context of the song, please, John.
Okay, so people of a certain age, a certain generation, remember where they were when Kennedy was shot, when Jimmy Hoffa went missing, and they remember that they were told that Kennedy was shot by a chap in the building across the road, but we don't know if it was the mob, the Cubans, the CIA. We don't know. We'll never know that. Jimmy Hoffa. We don't know whether it was the Irishman who did that, Frank Sheeran, or again, was it the government? Was it the mob because he'd stopped lending the mob money from the union money? Who knows? Again, we'll never know. His body will never be found. It's been 40 years almost since he went. So there's kind of a lot of hidden stories there.
Yeah.
So I felt with my story, certainly being interviewed by major news companies, major newspapers, major radio stations, and then my story never coming out from them, I felt it was very, very similar. So that's where my lyrics came from for Folklore and Tales.
You never cease to amaze me, you know. You never cease to amaze me, because that's a brilliant description which still leaves the door open for people to come in and find out more about the song. And again, forgive me for sounding really, really obvious. Of course, the difference is you're still here to tell.
Yes.
So that's why it's so important as well, because there are other things attached to your life which are important ways of people understanding what can happen.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not suggesting specifically in relation to Bulgaria or anything like that, but stuff gets hushed up.
Yes.
That's a part of the world that we live in at times, isn't it? So really, really important for your life, for you personally, but also for the transparency of things that happen, for it to be revealed and shared. And that's why you're doing it, which is an amazing inspiration against a major, major mob. You know, I'm going to dive into the lyrics. I don't normally do this. I'm actually going to read a part. I decided that in advance. You've alluded to the beginning of the song, but there's a middle eight in the song. I thought I'd read all the signs, crossed all the bridges and smiled. But the mob had other ideas, so they thwarted my plans with a team and a gun in their hands. I must say they play hard when they fight. Just one bullet to kiss me good night, with drivers and doctors on their payroll. On that night, that certainly took its toll.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's your life, but you're still here.
Yeah.
So you overcame trying to be ended oft by the mafia mob.
Yes.
Hushed up effectively, or just brushed away. And you're still here. And the song is different, haunting to Fall Guy, but it's got a real depth about it. And when we write, I can't help but be moved. It's a real deep moving experience to create the music of your life.
Yes, yeah. I'm sure it's a hard job, but you do an amazing job of it.
I really appreciate that. I wouldn't say it's hard. It's just the emotion of it, because I don't feel it's something that you can just sit down and do. You know, it's a real absorption, and because it's you and not me, I'm learning about the songs all the time. You can do that with your own songs. So when I've written lyrics, I can do that with my own lyrics. Sometimes I can discover Imogen. Imogen made a really good point in an interview that when she writes lyrics, sometimes she can't remember why she wrote it. And
yeah, of course, yeah.
And I've
Yeah.
I've experienced that as well, but this is different because there are just so many layers to it, and of course now I've read the book, now I've spent more time with you, now we're looking at a greater reality of book to film project. This is absolutely incredible. It really, really is. So I want John, we're going to be back again, we know that. If you could share briefly what's next, how can people find you, and how can they find out more about Fall Guy, and what's your parting message?
Okay, my parting message is always live every day like it's your last, and learn every day like it's your first. I think that's very, very important. No matter what people are doing to you, rise above them. They're doing things to you because they're jealous, generally. You know, they're not as good as you. No matter what they say or what they pretend or what image they portray, they're hurting you because they're jealous. They can't do what you can do. And so ignore that, rise above them, keep learning, and live every day as though it's your last. My book, Fall Guy, is on Amazon, or you can get it directly from me from my website, which is johncheethampoetry.co.uk, or from yourself, contact you, then again we'd make sure it's signed and in the post to them, no matter where they are in the world. People in Hong Kong, Singapore, Texas, up in the northeast of America, I've got copies of my book. So I will send the book anywhere. Quite happy to do that. Pleased to do that. So yeah, please contact us if you would like a copy. We'll keep you informed of the next stage. We will get there. It will happen, because the way things have moved from that brief meeting at the Waterloo to the next few days, it went like a roller coaster. In fact, I completely missed that week. I didn't know what day it was. I was trying to catch up.
I'm glad it wasn't just me, because that's how I felt. Yeah.
I was trying to catch up. The emotion came back to me. You know, I had really, really bad days, but I've kind of got through that again, and I'm battling on. You know, like I said in my lyrics, if the bullet's the best you can do, then I feel sorry for you.
Great. There you go. You've done it again, because that's what comes next. And that is a brilliant, 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 powerful message to conclude on. Thank you so much, John. All of the links will be there. The music's there. The music's going really well, by the way. People are really connecting with what we're doing. And we'll continue to do that in as many ways as we can. And thank you again, and watch this space.
Yeah, absolutely. Take care. Thanks, Ray.
Folklore and tales I was told. Where were you when they blew JFK away? Was it the unions, was it the Cubans? It's hard to say. I'd say they were playing with mob rules that day. Folklore and tales I was told. Folklore and tales I was told. Out those those opportunities and opened up that lonesome locked door, just like I'd done for years before. Remember, you may lose a battle, but win the war. All I had to do was cry. All I had to do was cry right through the night. All I had to do was cry my battlefield from the inside out. All I had to do was cry, 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 cry out loud. Sometimes we are made to take a fall, scanning the horizon. Although it's dark, life was good, now you've fallen apart. Pass us by, happy to collect, body damaged, mind a wreck. Surrounded by sirens all around, racing through that Cold War town, dodging the red stop signs, views of